Hey, James.
Hey, hi, how are you?
Oh, very good. Wow. How's it been? How are you feeling today?
I'm doing good. I just have a lot of free time right now. I've been thinking about um what to do next art-wise. Like I think for me it's helpful to do like different projects. Um
Yeah. What are you thinking?
oh, I recently went down like this kind of like YouTube spiral on customizing dolls. So
Hmm.
like these like there's these like fashion dolls like from Mattel or like Monster High dolls that people just kind of take apart,
Okay.
wipe off, and then they just make again with the makeup and clothes. So I've been kind of looking into that.
Oh, nice. A little upcycling kind of moment. Redo, redesign. That's awesome. I love that. Really cool. Wow, yeah. Switching it up, you know?
Yeah, there's like quite a few like when I was going just like thrift shopping, and I try to go for the ones that are like a little bit more abandoned. Like so like I'm not taking like a kid's toy away. Uh yeah, it's fun. I've been thinking about just um I think there's this aspect that I encountered a lot in the past where um I didn't feel good in doing something if I wasn't already proficient at it, you know?
Yeah.
But over time I feel like that has kind of gone away, and I'm okay with like learning new things because I'm okay with being bad at them.
Yeah, I love that. Very nice. Yeah, you're switching up. I mean, but it's still kind of like painting these dolls instead of on a canvas, right? All of that,
Mhm.
trying new things and whatnot. I feel the same. I feel like lately I've been more open to the idea of like trying out different mediums and different techniques in art making. I feel like I've been doing digital art for so long that I feel like I want to explore what other art practices will kind of offer me. Um,
Yeah, that's awesome. I think yeah, I think exploring different art process can different definitely help um with other things. Like I think that's all related. Um and cool. Yeah, I feel maybe we're going different directions where like I was doing a lot of digital art last year, and I feel like I want to kind of explore those skills but in traditional medium.
yeah, I know. I feel like it's like branching out, but I've loved like digital art and like just all the possibilities that it's offered me throughout the years. Like I think doing it for the circle last year and drawing just that whole narrative about
Mhm.
my family dynamic and my home life and stuff and how like art was a huge role in
Mhm.
all of that. Like it really made me realize what a foundation it gave me, you know? Like,
Yeah.
yeah, digital art has always just been like this super accessible form that I've always desired. I think like in my family, like asking my family for art supplies and things like that to do crafts or, paint, they always kind of saw it as maybe like, yeah, a lot of money and a lot of like frivolous money being spent and stuff. And so I think like I had to like convince them like, oh, this is on the computer. Like I can make a bunch of things and it just needs to be on the computer. You buy it one time and then you can do all these things with it. You can learn all these things on it and stuff. And I think we finally came around to the idea. Um, but I just think back and am so grateful for it, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And I think all that practice, just drawing and like realizing like kind of all that they were able to provide in that moment to allow me to draw and learn how to draw, like it feels really good. It feels a little different, I think.
Did you teach yourself how to draw?
No, my mom actually taught me how to draw at like a really young age, and like she gave me like this practice that has become like this super intrinsic thing for me. It's helped me reflect and like be aligned kind of like with how my body feels and where my mind goes. And it's helped me like connect with like so many people, like those around me. And yeah, I'm just super blessed. I feel really grateful for that. Like despite all the hardships that she had, she still took the time to kind of teach me how to draw.
Mm-hmm.
I think
That's
like,
very sweet.
yeah, thank you. Well, what about you, Jean? How like where or who did you learn how to draw from?
Yeah, I think well, I think there's a few things like on my mind. I think just kind of center it with like, you know, the context of last year's art showcase. These are definitely things I was considering about um how my art journey has gone and like that development. I think the first time I really like you know, hearing you talk about your mom and how she you know, passed down those skills to you. I remember like when I was a kid, like we had this ginormous like CRT computer. It was like a desktop computer, but it was, you know, like the ones now are a little bit more compact. The one we had in our family room, which is huge. Uh,
Um,
yeah, and then like on Windows, we had MS Paint, Microsoft Paint, and I think like when we were just figuring out how to use it, we and setting it up, um, my mom like just, you know, with the mouse, like she drew this she just drew like a bunch of like roses, like, you know, petals, but then it it was just honestly just like a very beautiful drawing. And I remember being like 5 and was like I just so surprised that she was able to do it. I remember she used like the spray can one, the spray can tool, and then she used like just like the brush tool. And the way she was doing it, it seemed like she had done it like many times before. And
mm,
just being 5 years old, I think it was like the first time I realized that like my mom had hobbies or like she had like a part of her life other than just, you know, taking care of me or, you know, doing domestic stuff. She um but I didn't really get into art then. I was just really surprised at that. And I just remember thinking about uh like later on, like when I was actually doing art, I remember asking her, I was like, so were you like a painter? Like did you draw before? And she told me she had given it up. She was like, it was something that she had a lot of fun with at school, but you just never had time for. Um, I do connect in the aspect of like, you know, even the process of art making is like because we need so much time and dedication for it. Um, you know, I kind of wonder about people who, you know, who just for whatever reason, you know, working too much, trying to just survive out here, like don't have time to make art. But even with that, like I think the realm of what is art, what is considered art, can be so vast. Um, I think for myself, like sitting down, trying to figure out how to draw, and for me, like drawing is about. It was initially just for me to get in a headspace where um, I was concentrating on something other than what was going on in my life at the time. I really wanted to say like when I started drawing was maybe a couple like 1 or 2 years after I had graduated from college, and I had this job that was really taxing on me. And next door we had this like figure drawing workshop that I saw people come in like a couple days after work. And just because it was in my building, I decided to just like stop by, and didn't really know how to draw people, but I learned from just by like watching others and asking questions. It was like a non-instructed class. And um I remember that was just something fun and honestly very selfish. Like I was just doing it for myself. There was like no greater purpose. It just
Yeah.
made me feel good. And I didn't have to worry about work, and actually made it even more bearable to go to my like workplace, because I was like, oh, I have that class after. Um,
Yeah, definitely. Wow. Wow, yeah, yeah. I definitely agree. Like art can feel kind of like you brought up it kind of feeling kind of selfish, you're only really doing it for yourself, your own joy and how it made you feel. And yeah, I also really think about how, our moms were the ones that taught us how to draw and stuff. And it's like such a huge part of our lives now. Like it really, really makes me realize that, like, oh yeah, my mom also really liked to draw back then, but she gave it up because she didn't really have time to draw. I remember my mom asked me, like, straight out of high school after graduating, she was like, oh, what do you want to do? Like, do you have any dreams or whatever? And I think at the time I was like too angsty and embarrassed to tell her that I wanted to do art and keep practicing art and learning more about art. Um, and she, she was just like, oh, yeah, you never thought about it, And then I was like, well, of course I have, like ever since I was really young, like when she first taught me how to draw like flowers too, like I have like always dreamt of learning more about how to like visually capture um, art into a form, But I had to ask her back, I asked her like, oh, did you ever dream of drawing, or like did you ever have dreams? And then she said she didn't have time to dream, and a lot of her energy did go towards like, yeah, working, trying to help us like survive. And yeah, I always think like now I have so much time to be able to learn how to draw and like connect with other people who are also drawing and practicing this. And I feel really, I feel really grateful and blessed, definitely. Um, it's just, I feel it's like really different, I feel like I'm kind of living her dream for her. Not that she wanted to be an artist or anything, but I think what if she did, and if she had the time, she could have practiced it and like, you know,
mhm. Yeah, I uh I mean, in the context of my mom, I definitely like feel those things about like um I don't know, like it's actually interesting to me that like that your mom taught you how to draw. Do you feel she was supportive of it as you continue to develop and like gain that interest and like develop your skills?
definitely not. like yeah, she wasn't. That's like the funny part, I feel, she's the one that taught me how to draw, but she didn't actually want me to like become an artist or use it in any shape or form. you know she she just thought it was something nice to teach me how to do, I guess, but I don't think she ever thought it would become anything substantial or real.
Mhm.
But what about you? Did your mom support you in your art growing up, Jean, or how was that
Mm,
like for you?
no, like I said, I didn't really wasn't super into art until like a couple of years ago. So like, I mean, I think I was always just like I was artistic, but I didn't really have a trade or anything. Um, I think it was just always part of my personality to like want to do things a little bit differently, want to add like my own flair to things. But I wasn't really drawing or anything as a kid. Um, it was just something I did like once I had graduated, and kind of really needed an outlet. But when I do bring, I have brought it back, like some. I think one of the uh, you know uh, benefits of being an artist is that like for gifts you can give people drawings, and it's really appreciated because it's something that only you can create. So I have like done drawings of things and give it to my mom, and I think she likes it. I mean, I think the idea that like I have an interest and I'm putting my time into something, it's people, you can't really debate it, right? And it's something that I think she appreciates.
Yeah.
But she did tell me once though, she was like, Vietnamese people aren't artists. Like, she says like it's really, I think her perspective is that there's like no good Vietnamese artists, at least in context of um like how she sees art and
Mhm.
painting. And so I think that was just an interesting thing I had heard from her. um I mean,
How do you think she sees art and painting?
I think she just doesn't really have context for like Vietnamese art in terms of like I think her version of art is fixed in like a Western perspective, like
Mm,
what goes into museums, what is collected, um things like that. Like, I mean, we grew up with uh like and sorry, like we grew up with like people in our family who did like calligraphy, people who did like flower arranging, people who did
mhm,
embroidery. Like these are all things that she was surrounded with or has skills to do. And it's interesting to me that she doesn't really consider that art. Or so what that says to me is that what she considers art is something else, right? And so maybe she thinks it's something like a Monet painting or
mm,
like a Rembrandt painting, or for example, something that has like the kind of the backing and prestige of like a Western institution and their standards of beauty and aesthetics. Um, and yeah, I don't know. It hasn't really occurred to me until recently that like art is something that I could like lean into as like more of a title.
mm.
Like I don't know if you ever had that experience. Like, when did you start calling yourself an artist? Right? Because for me, that was a very hard thing to do. And I think I only achieved that maybe like a couple months before the showcase last year. Because it was just
Yeah.
like such an uncomfortable thing to call myself. Like, oh, I'm an artist. Like it's like
Yeah.
it's like embarrassing.
Yeah, a little bit. A little bit. It's just hard to say, I guess, because yeah, you're right. Like growing up Vietnamese and creative and queer, you don't really see queer, gay, non-binary Viet artists out there, especially not in museums and things like that. And you're right. I think that did make it harder to kind of see myself as an artist as I got older. Um, yeah, just because that's not something that our family kind of saw us doing or like expected us to do. And so I feel like my mom was a little shocked when she found out that I wanted to be an artist and stuff. But how could she when she's been the one drawing and teaching me how to draw? um,
Mhm.
and I think you're right. Like museum art is just so different from the art that like our moms grew up with, or it's not the same.
Mhm. Um, I mean, I love going to museum. I mean, if I could have my stuff in museum eventually one day, that'd be like amazing. But definitely it's like not what I really try to like make I guess like influence my decisions too much. Um, I don't, how do you think your art has developed since last year? In terms of direction, I know we talked a little bit about kind of like branching out into different territory, like art medium wise, but I'm just curious if you had any like specific reflections.
Mm, mm, I think it's definitely changed. I feel like, yeah, I tapped into comics during the last circle because it was a very like nostalgic medium for me. Um, and now I feel like the one, like, I think the biggest takeaway from like before the circle and then entering into that first circle year was me realizing that like I didn't have to like make stuff alone. I think like I realized that like, oh yeah, drawing, like you said earlier, like drawing felt like this very selfish act, and I would honestly indulge in it very often. I would like, draw a bunch in my room in a sketchbook, draw everything that I was thinking, and it was just a way and an outlet to express myself. And then I would just close it up and then tuck it away and never look at it again or never show anyone and never share it. And I was just like, yeah, no, that's good. That was cathartic. Like I'm okay with just like letting it all out and you know, keeping it there. But it just it was just so different entering a space, a creative space with other creative people and being able to like share like that process with other creative people. I think really changed just like my outlook on how I can create art. Like I don't have to do it like alone. I can do it in like collaboration or like alongside other creative people who are also just taking that space for themselves to like be mindful and like expressive. Um, and so yeah, I feel like this upcoming year with the new circle, I want to definitely try to like maybe do some collaborative projects with folks. See how I can support others in their art making, just because I felt so supported that last circle, like being able to talk out like all the heavy conversations and feelings I was having while grieving and living at home during the pandemic and so many different emotions. Like I felt so supported by everyone, even though we were so far and estranged from each other. Like I really look forward to kind of being able to share that space and create together. Um, And so yeah, this year I want to try to see what other folks are doing, see if I can, grow curious about their process and how I can help kind of like encourage that flow, that creative flow in others. Um, and yeah, that's why I'm kind of curious about what you're also thinking and how you feel like you've like changed ever since the first circle year. I remember your portraits and how you depicted like queer, trans, and non-binary Asians in like this really beautiful oil portraiture style. And I'm wondering like, oh, how are you gonna like use it for this upcoming year? I loved your jam board that you made too. And all the dynamics that I feel like you've been working with.
Mhm. Yeah, I hold all of that definitely. I think one of the really benefits of being in art collective is um it is very empowering to see other people do art. And it's like I see it as just like a well in which you can be continually inspired by, knowing that people are working through the same issues, right? Like a lot of times when you're making like art, like in this context of like drawing and painting, it can be very like isolating, or it's just you doing it. And so when issues come up, either like frustrations or conflicts or just inability to do stuff, I think it's helpful to be reminded that like these are issues that people have long struggled with and have figured out, and it's really just a matter of practice and motivating yourself and like basically persevering. Last year, I think one of the main lessons I learned was definitely just how much time and effort it takes to be an artist and to improve. Trying to break away from that idea of like there is like an aptitude for things. Like sure, I think maybe some people learn things faster or pick up concepts easier, or maybe have a general affinity. But that only accounts for so much. I think the other part of it is just like literally hard work. And since then, like, when I was making those paintings, it was photos, like, just doing photo studies of people. And yeah, it was digital painting. I think last year in May, it was probably the first time I had shared my art with people in that large way. And it felt really good, I think, just hearing the feedback. And but I think for me, I wanted to figure out, like, I knew that that wasn't exactly where I wanted to stop, and just trying to figure out how I can deepen my art practice. Last year, I think a couple of months after, um, I had just gone on a trip and visited some old friends. And um, one thing that was really inspiring to me was just hearing a friend like talking about this, about like, how do I keep growing as an artist? Like, I want to get better. I want to like do more stuff. And he was just like, have you ever just taken art classes? And I don't know, it was just like an obvious thing. I had for most of it, it's just, read my own books, done like YouTube tutorials, maybe some like curriculums that people had posted online. But it didn't occur to me, yeah, like getting a specific training for it and in class could actually help. And so that's what I did. I also knew that like I appreciate, you know, learned a lot from painting from photos, but nothing really beats the observation that one gets from painting in person. And so I enrolled into just like a drawing and painting class where we do a lot of still lives, just observational painting. Um, and another thing I learned from the collective is just the importance of shaping and creating your own art spaces. And so that's what I did, like with the friends I made. We like, when it wasn't class time, I would still invite them to see if they wanted to do figure drawing together or like trade faces for portraits. Using the space I had in our backyard to leverage as creative spaces. And so, yeah.
So good. Oh, yeah.
This year, I feel I'm still doing portraiture and like learning how to paint, but I feel like I want to branch, like, mix that with something else, either like narrative based works, like maybe like illustrate like a story or a collection of things, or even doing my own zine. One thing I've been developing is like I have so many different recipes that I created or shaped or modified And I kind of wanted to compile that and then like illustrate it myself, just as a mini cookbook.
Wow, yeah.
Um,
Oh,
I think that's probably what I want to do, that just to see how I can push myself this year and next year.
yes, yes, I love that. That sounds amazing. No, definitely. I feel like you're so right. Like, yeah, there's a lot of practice in being an artist, like a visual painter, artist, that feels isolating. You're so right. And I feel like a huge practice that I'm trying to embody more is, yeah, connecting with other folks. Like, you're right, curating, cultivating that space where you're like surrounded by other people who are trying to get kind of like that hands-on real life experience of creating something. um, and nothing beats it. You're right, nothing beats getting together with other folks who have that kind of similar desire to create art in a shared space, I think. And that's why I feel like QTViệt Cafe Collective is like so important to me, my practice, definitely right now. Like, seeing other queer trans artists just growing in their art forms and trying different mediums or getting curious about different mediums, I find a lot of strength in it, and it makes me want to be a better artist, you know?
Yeah, I think one of the biggest lessons I've learned, or things I think about a lot, is in terms of painting, like what is good painting, right? And the answer I've learned and have been taught is that good painting is thoughtful painting. I think
Mm,
just being like that mindfulness of asking questions, of like noticing things, the observation, it like really takes you so like really far within a work. I'm also thinking about how to apply it in different other forms of my life. Um, when like in my practice of just doing portraits and drawing people, like one thing I heard from like a mentor was just like, oh God, he said something about how like like he could um like I don't know how much to really take him at his at face value, his words, but he said something to the effect of like he could tell when people are portrait artists just because of how they look at people. And maybe it's true because I think like it's not in like a creepy way, but like definitely like I take a lot more like interest in like people's like like the forms of their face, or like
yeah.
just like different shapes and stuff. And um
Oh, yeah, definitely. You're just paying extra attention to these fine details. I feel the same way when I like draw like florals and nature elements and stuff, we're just extra mindful of the presence of these other forms around us. And I think
yeah,
that's like one of the best practices as an artist. You're right, it does bleed into other aspects of life.
yeah. With cooking, it's like I think it's helped a lot just noticing more or trying to use all of my senses.
Really,
um
yeah, cooking is a tricky art, in my opinion. One I want to practice more too.
yeah, I
Like,
mean,
mm,
yeah, at the core, like, I think so much about oh God, I think like the other week we were just doing a meeting, and yeah, like you all had come and we were making fun sale.
mhm.
I remember telling Hi like, oh God, like it's so intimidating cooking around you. That I just ended up like doing other stuff, you know, setting out stuff, prepping. Uh, but I think I associate the core of like QTViệt Cafe with just cooking and like food justice and like cooking for other people, being community when you cook and sharing food.
Yeah.
I definitely like when I make things for myself, I don't really care about like what it looks like. Um, sometimes it's just like, you know, survival food, but
I know,
when I'm
right?
cooking, yeah, it's like, oh my God, yeah, during the pandemic, I think I've eaten the same breakfast like for
Oh my,
months.
I know. Just throw it on a plate and like funnel it in my mouth. Like it's all good. But
Yeah,
you're right. Keto Cafe food is so nourishing. Whenever we get together, we just, it's such a mindful practice indeed. We're just feeding and helping each other sustain ourselves and thrive, which I love.
yeah. So definitely, I think by taking those things seriously, these lessons that we learn from artwork and creating art, I'm always thinking about how can we apply it and really live our lives through it. Um, these ideas of like being mindful of like knowing where your ingredients coming from, of recognizing changes and like for example, like knowing the right time of when to cook like vegetables, and knowing the uh, like knowing when a meal is ready.
Mhm.
How can we apply that in our lives? How we treat each other.
Yeah,
Um,
I love it. I love it. It's great. Kvit Cafe is also like filled with so many different art practices and mediums, and we're all just kind of showing each other how we use that specific medium to like, navigate and interact with life. And we're just sharing these skills and techniques and like tips, and it's really really beautiful.
yeah.
Love it.
Um,
Yeah.
so I guess maybe a good, I don't know, like question to move on from, or I guess from this conversation, what I've been thinking about is um, like I feel like you you mentioned that the type of direction you want to take is more collaborative projects or collaborative forms of art making.
Mm,
Do you have like specific examples of like what you want to create with other people or like how it might look like?
yeah, yeah. I think collaborativeness is collaboration is definitely on my mind as we go forward. I definitely want to like branch out on mediums too. I'm gonna try something more hands-on. Um, I wanna I wanna try maybe jewelry making of some sort, or like something just more tactile, crafty. Um, and I don't know, yeah, I just want to kind of make something, and maybe be able to share that with folks. Um, and then, yeah, I like thinking about what other people are thinking as well, like what their projects are, and see just if I can support them in any way. Um, yeah, I have ideas, and I'm wondering what other folks' ideas are too, and like if people are down to like combine ideas, I think that sounds really fun to me. Um, and yeah, that's why I'm looking forward to like more of our monthly meetings, um, just to see, yeah, what we can make together. It feels, um,
Awesome, cool.
yeah, yeah. What about you? How do you feel? Um, you know, going forward,
Sure.
entering into this circle cohort year.
Yeah, I feel pretty strongly that my trajectory is just to continue to deepen my art practices. Um, over the past year, I've gotten a lot more fluent in learning how to paint in oils. And so one of the limitations before was just like, where it wasn't really able to have people over to paint because of COVID. And
Right.
it's also like the inability to like not really knowing how to use it. But that's as things are changing, as I'm getting more proficient, that's something I want to do more. And just in project wise, I mean, that's still kind of up in the air. I think my priority like right now is just to get better, to learn more forms of art. So yeah, originally I started with just digital drawing and painting. I'm doing traditional painting now, and some of my friends have taught me how to do a little bit of clay work and like sculpting, which I think is really fun.
Oh yeah. Oh my god, that sounds fun, Jeet. I like playing with like putty too.
Yeah.
Something. That's cute. Love that. What have you been making with the sculpts? Is that a word?
With the sculpture, they're just like I've done maybe like 18 centimeter, maybe they're just like like chess pieces, but like just like little characters. So still humans, like still people, but just in a very like small version.
Yeah, tiny people. Miniature.
Yeah, miniatures.
Oh, nice. That's awesome. Very good. Yeah, I've been wanting to make like tiny felt like veggies or like tiny felt
Oh, cute.
like little animals or something. I think that'd be
Very
fun.
cool.
Oh my gosh. Wow. Well, I'm excited to see your recipe book. That sounds really exciting.
Yeah, I have a really good idea. Like I think all the information is there. I just gonna have to like format it. This has been something I've been thinking about for like many years. And I've just kind of compiled like things I've done for other people. I think that's why I want to title it Things Cooked for Other People.
Oh, that's so cute. Love that.
But yeah, it's very nice to chat with you too, and I
love this.
excited to see like the collaborations that come out.
I know. Jean, definitely. We'll keep talking. More ideas will find there. Yeah, love hearing you talk, Jean. Love hearing you share. Always inspires me how deeply you think about your art.
Yeah, likewise. I feel like we, I think last year I think we were the only two that did digital art, right? Like digital paintings or something. Yeah. So yeah, always inspired by you all too, and yeah, super excited. Cool.